So hello everyone, I'm Flo, Servus, as you say in Bavaria. I'm also from the Munich area, born and raised in Bavaria near the beautiful Lake Tegernsee. And yeah, most of my companies have also been headquartered in Munich, so I really love this area, even though right now I'm in Malta, a bit further away, where it's a bit warmer. So let me just share my presentation and get started. Okay, I hope you guys see it now. Perfect.
Yes.
So let's just go up. Okay, first a few words about me. So as I said, my name is Flo. I'm a serial entrepreneur, impact investor, and visionary with a track history of 4 successful startups. 3 of them started in Munich, where we're headquartered. Most of them in the tech and cloud computing space. I've been an impact investor for the last 9 years, investing in sustainable energy, but recently focusing on crypto. I'm an expert in blockchain, crypto, and cloud computing, but my background is software development. And recently I've been selected for the top 100 people in finance, 10 most inspiring entrepreneurs of the year, and Neco, my company that I'm going to present, has been listed amongst the 50 most admired companies in the world. So what is Neco? It's a cryptocurrency for the common good. We generate profits for our users, provide universal basic income, and protect the climate. Our vision is bigger than just that. We want to build a sustainable financial system that serves the people and the planet. We are an organization with very strong values that range from equality, sustainability, but also diversity, solidarity, and stability. Now, the problem we want to solve with our currency is a $100 trillion problem, as I call it, the problem with money. Because money was invented about 7,000 years ago to serve as a means of exchange and a store of value. But if you look at today's fiat currencies, they don't really fulfill these promises. They have inflation, so they lose value over time, and they're quite expensive and slow. As you know, it can take days to transfer money, and banks charge a lot of fees. And since the 1970s, money or fiat money is no longer backed up by gold, so there's no backup. Now, as you know, crypto is becoming more and more popular and more important in the world, but most cryptocurrencies still suffer from very similar problems, such as high volatility, transaction fees, high energy consumption, especially Bitcoin and Ethereum, and most of them, like fiat, are not backed up by anything. So this quote from Buckminster Fuller was something that really inspired me when I started Neco. He said, "You never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the old model obsolete." So we designed Neco as a currency that solves the problems of traditional fiat and most cryptocurrencies. It's a positive currency that has no inflation, no debt, and provides quarterly earnings to the users. It's completely free of charges, so no banking fees, no transaction fees, but also no interest. It's stable and secure because our currency is backed up by a reserve in fiat, giving it a very low risk profile and reducing the volatility tremendously compared to other cryptocurrencies. But Neco is more than just a cryptocurrency. It's a new financial system, a sustainable financial system that serves the people and the planet. So the motto that we follow is people, planet, profit. So for the people, we provide universal basic income with the goal of offering financial freedom to the world. For the planet, we first of all use a carbon neutral blockchain technology. So we're not using blockchain, but Stackchain, which is carbon neutral and requires no mining. And we offset the carbon footprint of our entire community. Our goal is to have a completely climate neutral community. And last but not least, of course, profit. So we want to provide long-term value by generating quarterly profits for our members, which is a reliable profit and not as volatile as with most other cryptocurrencies. So for those of you who are new to these financial terms in crypto, I'd like to bring some examples, which are not exactly right, but they help you understand what Neco is. So imagine Neco like a bank that offers you free banking, instant global payments, and surprisingly high 25% interest per year. Now that's what we currently offer. For over the last 2 years, we had about 50% in increase of our price. We also like a central bank that issues a positive currency that that gains value over time, not loses value like the euro or the dollar. It's backed up by a reserve, which is managed by the central bank. But it's not a central bank in a way that it's not centralized. It's decentralized and it's collectively regulated. So all our members collectively decide on the financial policies that this central bank does. So our users in the end are the ones who control our organization. We are a non-profit. We provide universal basic income and we do the carbon offset. So we are a registered non-profit organization in Munich. So the key to our success, and I think that really differentiates us from other cryptocurrencies, is our reserve. We have a reserve which backs up our token supply with fiat currencies such as euros, dollars, and pounds. So think of this reserve like an in-house exchange. You don't need to go to an exchange to buy Neco tokens. You can get it directly from our reserve. And the reserve also provides the system with liquidity and stability. Another important factor is the reserve rate, which is the ratio between the Neco money supply and the fiat reserve. We have to have a minimum of 10% reserve rate, which means our 10% of our tokens have to be backed up by traditional fiat currencies. That gives it a lot of stability and also limits the number of tokens in the system, in a way similar to the Bitcoin limit, but it's a flexible limit. And so important is that our price is not determined by demand and supply on the markets, but by the reserve rate. So if the reserve rate goes above 12%, that's when we can increase the price of the currency. So the price changes don't happen on a day-to-day basis like with most cryptocurrencies. We only change it once per quarter, reducing volatility by 99%. So as you see here, this is actually our price chart over the last 2 years. You see it has increased by 50%, and it usually does a little bit, like 5 to 10% every quarter. Now, again, this depends on the reserve going up, which means more people buying Neco tokens than selling. But it's also another important part is that we collectively decide how much of our surplus we use for profit, meaning increasing of the price, and how much goes to social or environmental purposes, such as universal basic income and carbon offset. So this really is important to understand. It differentiates us from all the other currencies that are around there. So, when I first presented Neco 2 years ago to a few people, they said, Flo, this sounds too good to be true, must be a scam. But it's no longer just an idea. And Neco has become reality for over 400 people in over 50 countries. So we invited them to our private sales and launched our prototype platform where we tested all these features like buying and sending token, universal basic income, and also the regulation. And I'm really happy that we just completed this successfully a few months ago. So we raised 500,000 euros through a crowdfunding campaign. Our price went up over the last 2 years by over 50%. And very important, it has never gone down. So remember, the last 2 years were quite up and down in the world because of Corona. It affected most other currencies and the cryptocurrency and the crypto market. But our price remained stable and only increased like 5 to 10% almost every quarter. So we never had a loss in the entire 2 years. And we're now a profitable business without any debt. On the social side, we provided about 500,000 Necos for universal basic income to our community, supporting over 130 people all over the globe, which was especially important in these times of Corona, where people have lost their jobs or businesses not being able to open. So it really helped in a time of crisis. And last but not least, environmentally, we have raised about 100,000 Neco for our carbon offset program, which is enough to offset about 80% of the annual emissions of our entire community. So it means the 400 people that we have in our prototype. Right, where we are right now, we want to go live with an ICO next year. So we are in this process of raising another €1 million euros that we need for team building, for the development of our platform and our app. And I'm going to talk about the platform a little later, and also for marketing purposes. This is our roadmap. We have been around for 4 years now. We're in the build stage. We have 3 ICOs ahead of us, and I'm going to talk about them in a minute. So the first one, as I mentioned, is the Neco ICO, the initial coin offering for our currency token. This I already explained in more detail. So this is coming next year. But we have two other things that we built. So one is Stackchain. So what is Stackchain? Stackchain is a carbon neutral crypto platform, which is faster, more efficient, and more secure than traditional blockchain. So as most of you know, traditional blockchains like the one of Bitcoin, they're consuming enormous amounts of energy. Like the carbon footprint of a single Bitcoin transaction is over 400 kilograms of carbon dioxide right now. This is like a 3-hour flight. Imagine for every coffee I would have to do a 3-hour flight. But that's the damage we do to our planet. So we decided that this doesn't work with our values and wanted to come up with something that is as secure or even more secure than a blockchain, but is more efficient and requires no mining. And this is Stackchain. I think I have a few minutes, so I can actually go through the slide on Stackchain. Yeah, so it's a crypto platform for tokenization and decentralization. It uses a different consensus mechanism, not proof of work, but it's called proof of competence. So that's a consensus that requires no mining. It's climate neutral. We're going to power it by renewable energy and provides a higher level of data sovereignty. So in the end, your data on the Stackchain is not public, but private and protected. So you can also use it for storing information like your email address and name. It is compliant with the GDPR regulation, privacy regulation. And the last ICO that we have on our menu is Collexa. So Collexa is a system of collective intelligence. It's kind of a survey tool that we use to get the feedback from our community. And it's like the executive power in our, the parliament power in our organization. It's where all people collectively come to an agreement. So we agree on the price of the Neco, the budgets for people, planet, and profit, UBI allowances. So this is all regulated collectively through this system. We have the system now in a prototype version, but we're gonna roll it out as a separate product, a collective intelligence, which allows companies to make better decisions and integrate like the customers into their decision-making process, but also politicians. So it will allow for much smarter and more intelligent decisions, for example, with politics when it comes to things like how to deal with Corona. Yeah, there are much better ways to find a solution which doesn't cause a lot of upheaval and resistance in a society. Another thing that makes us different, we're trying to build a new economy, a new financial system, but also a new way of thinking and living, which is based on happiness instead of growth. Now, there's only one country in the world which does not measure GDP, gross domestic product, or in German, BIP, and this is Bhutan. So Bhutan realized that growth is not a good value to measure and decided about 10 years ago to replace it with what's called GNH, gross national happiness. So they measure the happiness of their population. And that is what the politicians are focused on increasing the happiness. So we kind of copied this over. We call it CHI, Community Happiness Index. It's based on kind of the same model, different factors. And we measure that on a biannual basis. Our goal is to increase the happiness of our users over time. And the last slide I would like to present is another thing that makes us unique is another token. It's called Karma. It's not money. It's a token that you earn for good deeds, such as investing money or donating to nonprofits, volunteering, or referring others. So it's a token that you cannot buy, you cannot sell, you cannot transfer, you cannot convert. But the more of these tokens you earn, the higher your karma level and the higher your level of universal basic income in our system. So we have created this token to think of a world where you can actually live without money, where what you do and what you exchange with others is not based on the exchange of money, but on your level of karma you've earned over time.
It's maybe like a social score, a little bit, the karma token.
Kind of, yeah, kind of. So we use it in our system to determine who's more involved, who likes to do more, and then these people also receive more universal basic income. In future, you know, our vision is bigger. We also want to provide things like healthcare and education as part of our system. You know, that's obviously a bit more in the future, but we would also probably tie the allowances, how much can you receive for free on the karma level of the individual.
Super interesting. And actually, I think you can also maybe use it for your governance. If you say like your community is like, determining the price and everything, and somebody who has like a lot of karma points, he contributed a lot to the community, so he can be like a trusted. It's always, so maybe his voting rights has like more weight than somebody with less karma points.
Yeah, that's what we were thinking. We have these values, and one of our core values is equality. So right now, everyone is equal, independent of how much money they have put in. But we're thinking of integrating the karma level into the overall picture. Say, people with more karma have a higher impact on the decision. So Collexa right now is quite equal. It says everyone is equal. But we can also always have a look at, what would the decision be like if you look at the karma level and see if there's a difference if we have everyone equal or if we weight by karma level. So you have different viewpoints that you can look at and see, okay, which way should we go?
Okay, so you can already have like displayed both, and okay. And
Yeah.
How do you make like decisions in such a community? I think you said like 400 members. Are they all taking a vote on each? And how does it work? Like somebody propose something and people are voting on it, or
Let me bring up the last vote from our database. Give me 1 second just to find it. So you can see how it looks like. Join database. Collexa, here we go. Okay, here. Opening it up, and I'm going to share my screen. Do you see the screen?
Yes.
So this is like a collective regulation. It's a process that takes 2 weeks. We invite our community to first decide how they would like to distribute our profits or a surplus over these 3 budgets for people, planet, profit, and reserve. So people is the money that will be used for universal basic income. So that sets the budget, the quarterly budget for universal basic income, from which we will pay universal basic income. This is for the planet, and this is for profit. And then the last one, reserve. This is what stays in our reserve, is also used by our organization to pay our day-to-day expenses and our people. And based on this, we calculate what the price would be. So 25% in profit, that's like 150,000 Neco, translates into an increase of 8.3% of the price. Reserve rate would go down a little bit to 15%. And the UBI allowance at that time went down from, I think, 4,000, which was a little too much, the maximum, to 2,500. So a Neco is roughly half a euro. Like right now it's 52 cents, as you see. So the maximum allowance was 4,000 Neco, which is like 2,000 euros per month before, which we realized was a little too high. So we reduced it. So every quarter, it kind of changes a little bit because our community collectively decides how to control the parameters of our system. So it's like a collectively controlled system. And I'm really surprised how smart this collective intelligence is. In the beginning, I thought, okay, let's give it a try and see how well our users understand the system. But it happens, the results we had so far were really promising. Some of them were better than I could have done it myself. So I learned to really trust the collective intelligence. If you ask questions properly and if you design the questions right, and you make sure that there's a few factors like diversity and autonomy in the decision-making process, collective intelligence can be amazing. And it's democratic. There's not a single person in our organization who has power. I don't have power. There's no CEO. We have a decentralized organization, and all our members can participate in the management of our currency.
Sounds super interesting. One point was not 100% clear for me. For example, like how are you guys making revenue? It's nice to have profits, to give something to your planet,
Yeah,
to have universal basic income. Sounds everything too good to be true. How
exactly.
are you
Must be a
guys making
scam.
revenue?
Must be a scam.
There
So
must be a scam.
we have two main sources of revenue. First is token sales. We sell our Neco tokens in exchange for fiat. So, and it doesn't cost as much to create a token in the system. We have no mining, so there's not as much energy requirement as like with Bitcoin. And the second is we are a nonprofit and we also receive donations like the carbon-free tax. People pay, make a voluntary donation, their carbon-free tax to offset their carbon footprint. They receive a donation receipt so they can actually deduct it from the actual taxes. And we use that money for the carbon offset program. But you have to think even bigger. Most of our money is simply money that we have created, tokens we have minted. So the reserve budget is new money that we are creating. The universal basic income, new money, new tokens that we are creating collectively. And the only thing that's important is we have to have at least 10% in our reserve. But that means there's a factor 10 between like 1,000 euro more in the reserve allow us to have 10,000 euros in additional Neco tokens, which we can then split across people, planet, profit, reserve.
Like a
So we're creating
bank,
a lot
nearly.
more money than we actually need, and that's why we are very efficient with the money. So the first 2 years of our company, we only needed like 100,000 euros to run the company for 2 years. So we are very efficient in the way we deal with money. All our partners, all our teammates are paid in Neco from the beginning. There's no exception. So that's why you imagine we're like the central bank creating money, so we don't have a money problem.
It makes sense when you have like a reserve of 10%, then you can print your new Neco tokens and sell them. And exactly. And when like these tokens are created, or for example, I'm as a company, I want to do something for the CO2, so I buy some Neco tokens from you, and then I have these tokens, and what can I do with these tokens then? I reach them into my tax or papers?
No, so Neco is like a currency, like euros and dollars. You open up an account with us, a Neco account, and then you buy Neco tokens and you pay in Neco. We pay every Neco. The idea of Neco is to be a currency, right? To be a global currency where you can pay anyone. You can simply pay someone by entering the email address. What you can do to offset your carbon footprint is to pay your carbon-free tax, which is another donation, which adds to our reserve, that we use the money to offset your carbon footprint. But we do this anyway. Even if you don't donate, we set a certain budget aside every quarter for carbon offset. And our goal, as said, is to offset everyone's carbon footprint, even though not everyone has actually paid the carbon-free tax. So the goal is that once you join our system, you're joining a new financial system for the common good that provides universal basic income to the people and helps the planet by offsetting the carbon footprint of the community. And you do this by, when you buy the tokens, your money goes into our reserve, strengthens our reserve, the reserve goes up, and we can then use additional funds for the common good.
And your project, you also buy tokens back, or is that just a secondary market?
Yeah.
Or both? Or...
Yeah, so our reserve does both. You can return it at any time. So you buy the tokens, you sell it, buy, sell. And the good thing is we change the value only every quarter. So you don't have to be like, with Bitcoin, like up and down and up and down. So it's going to be stable for 3 months. And then there's usually like a 5% increase. And you already kind of know before, because every month we generate a financial report with all the details. So okay, it's going up. So you can expect the price to go up.
That's so great. So you can kind of like set the price how you want it, or the community decides it.
Yeah.
A little bit, and so you're free of inflation and also not too volatile. You have like this 5 or 10% range every quarter, which can add up in a year to some, but nevertheless it's plannable.
Yeah.
And sounds like a super interesting project. Yeah, definitely.
Exactly. Yeah, that's one of the big differentiators. So it's the community who decides on the price. They're not completely free. I said the limitation is the reserve. The price can only go up if the reserve rate is above 12%. And it limits the price as well. So it can't go up by like 100% just because everyone wants to make profit. There has to be enough in the reserve. So that gives us the stability, and also causes people to really start trusting it, because they see it's only gone up so far, step by step by step, slowly, without going down at any time. And we have mechanisms to prevent it from going down. So the idea is really to create a currency which can preserve value on a long time. Okay? So you can now put like money aside and it increases in value over time. Not like the euro where you're losing value every year.
Which mechanism do you have in place when things go south? For example, if everybody, let's say, want to withdraw their money, or like what happens? Run to the bank, let's say.
Yeah, very good question. That's the problem of our current system, bank runs. So, and it will happen, I think, in the next years. So people will start to withdraw the money from the banks and then they collapse. And most banks have like a few percent, less than 5%. So we have 10%, and simply what we do to protect us from a bank run is we are not obliged to exchange Neco tokens into fiat. So if the reserve rate is less than 10%, we stop converting them, right? So you can still use Neco. It doesn't lose value. It continues to work as a currency, but you cannot exchange it back into fiat. And that way we prevent the bank run. We keep up the stability, because mostly bank runs are caused by a few people who withdraw the money quickly and then cause this panic, and all the others suffer because it crashes. And in our example, this cannot happen. It's very unlikely,
because you just close the bank and then
we close the reserve, and our organization can still continue working with the reserves. So the reserves are enough to last for even years. So we can simply avoid these kind of dangerous situations by closing the reserve, and people can still work with the currency. It also is an incentive for people to pay in Neco what we want them to do. They'll always convert it back into fiat.
Makes sense. Yeah, probably there's also a fee when you withdraw, that you prevent people from moving out.
No, it's free of fees. And one thing we want to offer is a free currency. We have some transaction fees when we transfer into foreign currencies, not euros and not dollars, but those are banking fees, and it's not what we charge. It's just our banks that charge for transfers.
Well, if you want to make people pay with Neco, then maybe you should incentivize them.
Maybe
a little bit.
Maybe
could be
good idea.
Yeah, just a 1% withdrawal fee. Oh, I'd rather pay with Neco.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. A good idea. I'll think of this.
Great, wonderful, Flo. Yeah, thank you very much. I think we have like 1 or 2 more minutes, but if there are no more questions in the chat, I see Saga was also like already preparing himself. Of course, you can post your website or your contact here in the chat if people like to reach out to you.
Yeah.
And yeah, I hope to see you in our next Munich event.
I hope so too. Yeah, I'm gonna post it here. As I said, guys, we're still in private sales, so we can invite people. You can contact us through our website. Our public offer will be next year. So, but we are open to inviting people, especially from this group. So I'm probably gonna post the link how you can sign up for Neco here on this group, because
getting some exclusive pre-sale whitelist chance here. I like it. Exactly. Perfect. I think about it. Sounds like a good project.
Okay, cool.
Thank you very much, Flo.
Thank you very much. Servus, everyone, and see you soon.
See you.